What's up? It's Urban Armed, and it's a little loud because it is raining outside today, pretty hard. Yeah, so there's some thunder and lightning going on in the back. But anyways, reloading. I'm going to talk about reloading. This is my first video on the topic. I'm going to try to do a series, maybe a series. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. Just kind of work it out as we go. But just want to go over how to get started, what to get, what you need, how much it costs, that kind of thing. I have what's called the Lee, the single stage press. It's the Challenger, the breech lock Challenger kit, which basically is the single stage press. Came with priming tools for both small and large pistol primer. So basically, I got mine at Cabela's. They had a deal at Christmas time for like $90, but right now it is sitting at $109 on sale. But you get the press, the perfect primer. I'm sorry, powder measure, the perfect powder measure, whatever it's called. Some lube and some burrs and your scale and the press and everything else. So it's a pretty good deal. It's a good starting point. $109 will get you everything that you need to get started for the most part, at least the components. You'll have to buy the dies set, which depending upon what you're reloading will either range anywhere from about like $30 to $50. Typically you can find them between $30 and $40. This is a 9mm die set right here. I've also got some 45 and 223, but basically you have a decapping and resizing die, which has the little needle that sticks out the bottom there. Then you've got a what they call a flaring die or a bell curve die. I don't know. Basically, this die right here you use to open the mouth of the top of the case, so it kind of flares it out, so it can accept the projectile, the bullet, when you get to that part. So once you go through all the cases there, you're going to move on to this die. I'm sorry, this die right here, which is your crimping die. This is where you have actually, so you've deprimed and reprimed, you've flared and put in your powder, and then you set your bullet in. So your bullet's sitting in the top, kind of like here. This won't work because we haven't gone through the stage yet, but then this guy, basically it would go up in there, and it actually is the crimping die. I also go one step further and use a factory crimp die, which is not necessarily required at all. A lot of the new die sets come with a 4 kit, which is the factory crimp die. Mine didn't, so I had to buy it separately, but most of them now do. They're called the deluxe kits. So I do have a Lee deluxe pistol die set for 45 ACP. That one did include all 4 dies. This one, which I bought from Lee, because I didn't even know about this when I was buying this crap, didn't come with it, so I bought it separately. It was like $15. And what the factory crimp die is after the projectile has been crimped and seated, it puts a nice little crimp, so it's almost a seamless transition between the neck of the shell casing and the projectile itself. So that's what that does. Like I said, it's not required, but it is required on rifle rounds like 223, but not necessarily pistol rounds. But I like everything to be consistent and as close to factory as possible, if there was such a thing. So let's go over the components. So you're going to need some brass. I recommend either picking up brass from your gun range when you go shooting, throw a tarp down on the ground, it can pick it all up at the end, or just kind of keep a plastic bag in your range bag that's kind of thick, and you just kind of pick it up as you go, get your friends to pick it up for you when they go. So you're going to need a lot of brass. The other thing is pistol primers. This is CCI number 500 small pistol primers. You're going to need those. I've also used Winchester WSPs. Those work great. It really kind of depends on I like CCI, so I just kind of standardized on that a little bit. You're also going to need some powder. I usually use Alliance. I either use Unique, and I especially use this on rifle or heavy, like defensive rounds, like jacket of hollow point, stuff like that. For plinking ammo, I tend to like this Hodgdon HP 38. It shoots great. I like it. These run from anywhere from about $18 to about $20 for a bottle. One bottle will load roughly 1,000 rounds of ammo, roughly. It also depends on if you're switching around ammo types and what kind of load you're using. And then you're also going to need some projectiles. So for this video series, I'm just going to use 115 grain Full Metal Jacket projectiles, and I think that's it. So we got powder, we got primers, we got brass, we got projectiles, we got our dies, and of course we need a press. So here's my press here. You can see the spent primers from decapping or depriming or whatever the hell it's called, spent shells. Those go down in this tube. With your die set, you'll also get what's called a shell holder, which is this little guy right here, because there's different sizes for 9mm and 45 as far as like the way they fit in here. So that just slides right in here like so. And what I have done, I've basically bolted my press to a 2x4, and I hold it down with these clamps here. The reason I do that is so I can move this around. I like to be able to move it, especially when I'm doing other things on my bench. I can move this out of the way and just clamp it down to like this shelf right here or something like that. I also do the same thing for my perfect powder measurer. I've got it just screwed to another small 2x4, and I just use this guy to clamp it down real tight, and then I can just kind of move this around wherever I want to do some of my priming. And that usually works out pretty well for me. So I have this piece of fabric softener around here. It's just to limit this amount of static electricity from your hands and stuff like that, and also keeps the powder from sticking to the inside of the walls. One thing I normally do is always keep out the powder right behind here. So I always know what powder is in here, although usually I can even tell just visually. I can tell by the look of the flakes or the grains, whatever, what kind of powder it is. But it's always a good practice to set a consistent workflow, and that kind of keeps things safe, keeps things in order. That way if you walk away, come back, you always know what's going on where you left off. So we'll go on to tumbling right now. Okay, so over here you can see I've got a what's the brand on this thing? It is a Frankfurt Arsenal Quick and Easy case tumbler. I bought this as a kit. I think it was like $80. Came with some media, some brass polishing lube, and this cool little like sifter, which is basically a half dome circle. I'm trying to use this light because it's a little dark in here, so I'm trying to do the best I can with the lighting here. So basically this is a ball. You just rotate it around and you just dump all your clean shell cases in here. All the powder goes to the bottom of the bucket, and you just pop this guy off and then pour it right back in here. This has been working great for me. I really like this setup. This thing can clean, sometimes I'll clean up to like 400, 500 cases at a time. The more cases you put in, the longer you want to run your tumbler for. Some people will run theirs for a couple hours. Sometimes it depends on also how old your media is, like how dark it is. The darker it gets, the more you got to run it, I've found. But typically I like to clean mine for about 3 to 4 hours. If it's brand new media that I've just put in, I might only do like an hour to 2 hours because it'll clean it fast. I just use like walnut media that's in here now. So basically, once they're cleaned, I put them in here and I rotate all the crap out of it, all the media, and it goes in the bucket. And what's left is in this ball. You just take this, slide this guy out, and you can take your cases out here and start separating and inspecting them. So that's usually the very next step. So this is kind of step one. Got home from the range. I don't even inspect the cases quite yet because it's hard to tell when they're dirty. So I just go ahead and throw everything I've got. I start cleaning it, and then I tumble it, and then we'll move on to the next step, which is inspecting.